2 wars, 1 arsenal, and a critical choice. As the US burns through weapons in the Middle East, Ukraine could be left waiting. Missiles meant for one battlefield may now be diverted to another. So the question is, who gets priority when resources start running out? A critical decision is now taking shape in Washington, one that could reshape the flow of weapons across 2 major conflict zones. The Pentagon is weighing whether to divert military equipment originally intended for Ukraine to the Middle East, as the ongoing war with Iran continues to strain US stockpiles. The Washington Post reported citing officials familiar with the matter that no final decision has yet been made, but the discussions reflect growing pressure on American military resources. The potential shift comes amid an intense operational tempo. US Central Command has struck more than 9,000 targets in under 4 weeks of fighting, rapidly depleting some of the military's most critical munitions. Among the equipment under consideration for diversion are air defense interceptor missiles, which are currently in high demand. These weapons are part of the Prioritized Ukraine Requirements List, or PUL, a NATO-backed initiative launched last year. Under the program, partner countries fund the purchase of US arms for Ukraine, ensuring a continued supply even as direct American military assistance has been scaled back. While the Pentagon has declined to comment on specific deliberations, it stated,
Defense Department would ensure that US forces and those of our allies and partners have what they need to fight and win.
Ukraine has acknowledged the uncertainty. Its ambassador to the United States, Olga Stefanishina, said,
Kyiv was keeping partners apprised of its needs, including on air defense, but understood the period of considerable uncertainty during the war. Any disruptions at the outset of recent operations in the Middle East have been mitigated.
Meanwhile, NATO officials have not confirmed whether they are aware of any potential redirection of supplies, but maintain that equipment continues to flow into Ukraine under the PURL framework. However, concerns are growing in Europe. Diplomats warn that the pace of US operations in the Middle East is consuming munitions at a rate that could affect future deliveries. High-end systems such as Patriot and THAAD interceptors, which are vital to both Middle Eastern operations and Ukraine's defense against Russian strikes, are among the most sought-after assets. To support operations against Iranian threats, the US has already redeployed such systems from other regions, including Europe and East Asia, to reinforce its presence under Central Command. This has intensified concerns about supply constraints and competing priorities. At the same time, the Pentagon has informed Congress of plans to redirect a portion of NATO-funded resources, around $750 million, towards restocking US inventories, rather than delivering additional equipment to Ukraine. It remains unclear whether participating European nations are fully aware of how these funds are being used. The broader challenge lies in production capacity. Despite efforts to increase output, the US defense industry faces limitations in scaling up quickly enough to meet simultaneous demands across multiple theaters. As these deliberations continue, the situation underscores a growing reality. Sustaining parallel conflicts is forcing difficult choices. With resources under strain and priorities shifting, the balance between supporting Ukraine and maintaining operations in the Middle East is becoming increasingly complex. A new layer is being added to the widening conflict, one that stretches far beyond the Middle East and deep into the geopolitical rivalry shaping Europe. According to Western intelligence assessments cited by the Financial Times, Russia is nearing completion of a phased shipment of drones, medicine, and food to Iran, The deliveries, which reportedly began in early March 2026, are expected to conclude by the end of the month, signaling a significant escalation in Moscow's support for Tehran. Senior officials from both countries are said to have initiated secret discussions on drone transfers just days after US and Israeli strikes on Iran. While Moscow has long provided Tehran with intelligence support, including satellite imagery and targeting data, the transfer of weaponized drones would mark the first clear indication of direct lethal aid since the conflict began. Publicly, the Kremlin has downplayed the reports. Despite the denial, Western officials suggest the move is part of a broader strategy to stabilize Iran's military capabilities and reinforce the regime politically at a time of mounting pressure. Asked about the shipment of drones, Kremlin spokesperson Dmitry Peskov told the Financial Times,
"There are a lot of fakes going around right now. One thing is true. We are continuing our dialogue with the Iranian leadership."
Iran's reliance on drone warfare is well established. Since the outbreak of hostilities, Tehran has deployed more than 3,000 one-way attack drones across the region, using them to strike military and infrastructure targets. These systems, often low-cost and mass-produced, have become central to Iran's asymmetric warfare doctrine. Russia, for its part, has been manufacturing its own variants based on Iranian designs since 2023, adapting them for use in Ukraine with enhanced payloads and improved evasion capabilities. Analysts believe Iran could be seeking advanced Russian models, potentially including variants similar to the Geopolitics, to upgrade its existing fleet or reverse engineer improvements into domestic systems. The Geopolitics drone is based on the Iranian Shahed MUN-36.
They don't need more drones, they need better drones. They are after the more advanced capabilities.
Analysts say the advanced Russian weaponry could also improve the effectiveness of Iranian drone strikes, especially if Tehran did not have the time to integrate that technology into its domestic systems.
The Russians dramatically improved the Shaheds, including modifications to the engines, navigation, and anti-jamming capabilities. So, these systems are already more advanced than the ones Iran was producing domestically.
At the same time, Tehran has reportedly sought more advanced air defense systems from Moscow. While a deal has been reached for the delivery of Verba missile systems and associated launch units, Russia has so far declined to supply the more sophisticated S-400 platform, wary of triggering a direct escalation with the United States. The evolving partnership is not without constraints. Although Russia and Iran signed a strategic cooperation agreement last year, it stops short of a formal mutual defense pact, reflecting the limits of their alignment. Complicating matters further, Israel has already moved to disrupt this growing cooperation. Recent strikes targeting supply routes across the Caspian Sea underscore a clear intent to sever the logistical links between Moscow and Tehran. And as weapons, intelligence, and strategy begin to flow more freely between these fronts, the risk is no longer just escalation, it is an entanglement on a global scale.